In the everlasting words of DJ Khaled, all we do is win. We've got more picks for you coming up in just a few minutes, and we've also got quite a special guest on the program today. Get ready for this one. Get your cards out, get your picks ready to go. We're at it. How's it? Welcome into the second iteration of EPL Pitch Picks. I'm going to host this bad boy. I'm the bearded gooner. Next to me is 3-point sniper, or as we like to call him here on the show, Dr. Sniper. I don't think you have to call me 3-point sniper this week. Well, what should I call you, sir? I don't know. How about Dr. Sniper? I like it. How are you, man?
After last week, I would like Doctor.
How are things, brother? You good?
Yeah, things are going great. Obviously, we had a fantastic debut, and thank you for everyone in the chat who joined us. And hopefully, we have a ton of you in the live chat today. I wanted to bring up that we did do our pick of the week with the three of us plus the chat, and every single pick hit. So for the season-long competition, we are all sitting at 3 points. Once again, the prize is a kit of your choice from this season with the three of us in the chat. So if the chat ends up beating us, one lucky winner would get a kit. So continue to comment your favorite pick for this week in the chat below, and we will randomly draw one at the end of this show, and that will be the chat's pick of the week again. So thanks, PG.
Yeah. Co-defendant, Ryan, what's going on, buddy? You are muted, by the way, in case you don't know that. Is he there? Ryan is currently traveling. We're not sure if he's going to be how well this is going to go. He's on the road, so hopefully the internet signal works out for him. But anyway, he's there, and our very special guest, very pleased to welcome on to the show, all the way from Canada. I think I pronounced that right. DaCoochie, what's up, man?
Not much, brother. Not much. Looking forward to this weekend's action. Full slate. No Friday games, so Saturday and Sunday are both jam packed. Hoping my presence doesn't sewer the show's outcomes, because 11-0 is gonna be tough to top. But I'm gonna do what I can and try to do my best to.
Man, like I said, all we do is win here, brother. That's all we do. There he is. Now we've got him.
Oh,
what's up, buddy?
Good. As soon as we went live, oh, wait. Yeah, I'm not muted. I think it sounds muted. As soon as we went live, I was going to retweet the show. I pull up Twitter, and, everything just shot the bed. It was not a good time. But I'm back, and hopefully I don't shit the bed again. Unlike this last week.
All right, so one thing from a production standpoint that I did forget to do is write down the order in which we're going to do this. So we're going to kind of fly by this.
First, I had a couple questions for DaCoochie.
Shoot.
DaCoochie, you're a Newcastle supporter, right? I kind of wanted to hear that backstory.
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I don't know if you ever watched the movie Goal. It's like a Disney movie.
Love those movies.
No, yeah, Newcastle United was kind of the team that the guy played for. So kind of just I'm from Northern Ontario. I live in Guelph now, but I'm from Northern Ontario, like 8 hours north of Toronto. So there wasn't exactly a whole lot of soccer fandom to begin with. So from that movie on, I kind of decided I liked the black and white colors. And when FIFA started becoming more of a thing in my life, I just always played with them. And from there, it's been an up and down ride. Obviously, before the takeover, we were battling relegation. We got relegated once. That sucked. But now it's only onwards and upwards with the Saudi oil money, baby.
That's right. So what are your feelings on this upcoming season?
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. I bet them to finish in the top 2. I bet them in the finish in the top 4. So I think that the ceiling is there. I think we got to get healthy. Our back end, Fabian Schär got that red card in week 1. So this weekend I'm a little bit pessimistic as they take the trip to Bournemouth. But I think Isak might be the best striker in the league behind Holland, and I think Anthony Gordon's a little bit underrated. So I think we're going to do well. I think we're going to be able to compete. We have a pretty easy run up until Christmas. So if we can stay within touching distance to that point, make it a 3-horse race at the top of the table, I'd be more than happy with that. No Champions League this year, so no fixture pile up that killed us last year. I don't see a whole lot of reasons we can't if we can stay healthy and we can keep guys from getting red cards in the 20th minute of the game.
For nothing? For absolutely nothing?
Yeah, I mean
just a little forehead kiss.
The game is gone, as they say in England. The game is gone.
But we talked pretty highly of Newcastle in last week's episode. I think no Champions League this year is going to be massive for you guys. I think that was a big step up last year and kind of ran some guys into the ground. Also think Isak's going to have a phenomenal year. Ryan and I took a golden boot bet on him also. And one thing I'm very envious of, and these two, I don't know if they agreed with me fully on it, but I think you have the best home atmosphere in the league. So,
the Gordies get it going, man. Shirts off in the middle of the winter. Those bastards don't give a damn. It's a good crazy support group, man. I want to get over to Newcastle upon time one time before life's over to watch a game at St. James Park. It's I think because it's been so bad there for so long, they finally have something to cheer about. It would have been a rough 12 years under the previous ownership. So lots. I'm sure in a couple of years when we haven't won anything still, the Yanks will be back in the ground. It'll be a little less lively, but for the time being, they're enjoying it. They're bringing the fun, and the players seem to build off it more than anything. The press seems to be a lot better at home. The opposing teams aren't necessarily super used to the noise, I guess. So like I said, I'm hopeful. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm a fan of a lot of sports teams who will get your heart up before they break it in the end. So I'm preparing myself for the worst, so I'm hoping for the best.
Gotta be a Leafs fan, I assume, right?
Yeah, Leafs fan, Minnesota Vikings fan, basically all the fans, the perennial losers, the perennial almost. That's kind of who I cheer for. It's sadomasochism in a certain sense, but it makes it a little bit more fun in the end. It's not fun if you always win. That's what I say.
Ryan's into sadomasochism as well. Oh, wait, that's a different. I'm sorry, that's wrong show.
No sports teams involved in that one.
Nope, not at all. Not at all.
Oh, DaCoochie, also tell the chat where they can follow you and about your newsletter and everything that you got going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So for the most part, you can follow me on Twitter. I have a Substack that I do basically every morning. Some mornings, if there's not necessarily a lot of action on the board, I don't write anything up. But typically, it's 3 plays. Hope to be 3 winners every day. And then on the weekends, we do an NFL preview and an EPL preview. Kind of get those numbers out a little bit earlier. And then when college basketball comes around, I know 3-point sniper. I'll be in the trenches with you there, trying to find some wins. Didn't have the greatest season last year betting on the hardwood, so hopefully I can turn that one around. But the Substack's Coochie versus the Bookie at Substack.com. You can kind of find the link in my Twitter bio, which is at DaCoochie Bets. So I'm a content machine. I'm trying to do more video content moving forward, so we'll see how that goes. But for right now, it's just pen and paper, metaphorically speaking, obviously.
Cool.
Nice one. Anything else before we get on to the picks here, boys? Do you guys want to? Should we recap? Should we recap last week and toot our own horn and pat ourselves on the back a little bit more? If you guys could do that for me, though, my arm kind of hurts from all of the padding that I've done.
No, I mean it was phenomenal. I mean, as DaCoochie knows very well, days like that don't come very often. So when they happen, you got to enjoy them. I believe it was midday. On Saturday at the time where my card finished, I went 5-0, and I drunkenly FaceTimed Ryan, just going crazy at a bar down here in Charleston, having a good old time. And I was like, man, I'm 5-0. This is incredible. This is crazy. And then, come Sunday, then Ryan just comes behind me and does a windmill alley-oop and goes 5-0 as well. And so that's just crazy that we both had, a 5-pick card and went undefeated. And it was a ton of fun. And then also our host with the most, 1-0 on his pick of the week. So it was a clean sweep, and it was just awesome.
Let's not forget about the chat too. Chad hit their pick as well. So
Also
keep up
hit.
the chat.
Yep. So that's all we.
On.
That's all we do here, boys. That's all we do here is win. All right, so let's get to this week's picks. Enough of jerking jerking each other off here. Ryan, you're first up with some action in the 7:30 a.m. window on Saturday at the Amex. Brighton host United. United. Give me the action. What do you got there?
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous going first this week, but I got both teams to score, no draw in the Man U Brighton game. They've met 17 times and only drew once. I think both teams look pretty good on the attack. Bruno Fernandes had a very uncharacteristic game where he had a lot of chances and he just couldn't put them away. I think Brighton is going to be attacking from the wings a lot, and I think it's going to be problems for Man U. Their back four is not athletic at all, so I expect Brighton to definitely get one or two. And let's face it, as big of a shithole Man U is, and how Ten Hag just has their boys just not really playing for him since he kind of got hired. They're always going to have chances no matter what. They're always going to score that goal. They're always going to make something happen out of nothing. So yeah, I think definitely, having both teams scoring, I think is a must. But not only that, I don't expect this game to be a draw. That's for sure.
Yeah, DaCoochie, you've got some action going in there too, and it's pretty interesting to be a couple of your picks. Definitely not something that I think I ever expected to see. And you're actually going to make two of them. But you've got some action with Brighton and United as well. Talk to me.
Yeah, I lean Brighton's way. I'm going to play Brighton draw no bet at -114. I think is what I'm seeing that number at right now. Going back to last year, I've kind of been a vocal deterrent of the Manchester United. Both their build-up play and their defensive play. I think in build-up in particular, this matchup against Brighton is going to cause some serious problems. Last week we saw against Fulham, Bruno Fernandes kind of function as a false nine. I don't necessarily think that's going to function particularly well against a Brighton high line who's going to be pressing from the front. It worked reasonably well against Fulham because they're kind of playing in more of a low block. Bruno could kind of drop deep and help up in build-up play. But against the Brighton high press, I think that's going to be really an issue. They don't really have even the new guy Xerxes. If he starts, he's not necessarily someone who wants to play off the defender's shoulder and run in behind, which is kind of, I think, the way you beat the high press mostly. And then on the other side of the ball, like Ryan mentioned, I have some serious concerns about Manchester United in the wide areas. Dalot was getting burned from pace by Traore in Matchweek 1. Dalot's kind of viewed as an above-average right back in terms of defensive abilities, but on the left side is where I think the real problems are for Manchester United. Mazarazi brought in, kind of not known at all as a good defensive left back. He'll be lined up across from Matoma, one of the best dribblers in the Premier League for my estimation. He's got a goal already this season, so his confidence should be on high. And I just think that for the most part, Brighton's going to be able to dominate territory and possession. Like Ryan said, Manchester United's always going to have those chances at goal. They have the quality, Rashford, Bruno. Those guys are world-class players. They're going to create chances. I'm just hoping Brighton can kind of be more clinical with their chances and come away with a win here. Obviously, draw no bet market. If we get a draw, bet just no bet and it ends up happening. We get a 0-0-1. We get a push. So going to give myself an out there. I'm not necessarily all the way in yet on Brighton. I had some reservations about the new system, but those might have been a little bit unfounded. They look good in Matchweek 1. I'm looking to hopefully they can continue that and get a big result here at the Amex. And one more thing, in Eric Ten Hag's 4 meetings with Brighton so far, they've lost 3, have lost the expected goals match in all 4 matches. I think it's just a stylistic problem for Ten Hag team who doesn't have the defense to really properly build up from the back the way they want to. They invite pressure on, and Brighton's good enough to take advantage. So I'm on Brighton, draw no bet. Start the morning off with an underdog, hopefully getting across the line for us.
Love those stats.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is the content for this show. That and DaCoochie's amazing lip sweater, by the way. That thing is a beauty. That is an absolute beauty. Hey, do me a favor, would you? Save some for the rest of us, huh?
Yeah, my girlfriend makes sure I save them all for the rest of you guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, DaCoochie, I agree with the sentiment and everything you said. And on the show last week, I actually took a future on Brighton to finish top 10. I think that their pieces are fantastic and they're going to be competing near the top. I think whatever that drama was going on with De Zerbi, it got super weird because they were super talented. He's a good manager. I don't know what the hell happened, but I think once he moved along and they brought in Fabian, I think it's going to be a great season for them.
Yeah, moving on here. So that's all the action we've got in that early window. And now we get into the 10 o'clock window on Saturday. We're going to start with another London derby here, boys. Down in South London, Crystal Palace are going to host the Irons. Crystal Palace, West Ham. Dr. Sniper, you've got some action going there. What do you got?
Yes, I do. My bet in this game is over 2.5 goals, and that is at -135. West Ham, you looked really, really dangerous in the attack in their opener against Aston Villa. I think they recorded 14 shots and almost, 2.5 goals on the expected goal metric. So they were, pressing on Aston Villa just as much as Aston Villa was pressing on them. But to the other end, and what I just mentioned, Aston Villa also was able to attack that, weak, I think weak West Ham back line. So I think that there's going to be plenty of opportunities for Crystal. I know that they disappointed in the Brentford match, but Mateta had a strong Olympics. He looked fantastic. And they have Eze, who's incredible, and Wharton. So I think they'll be able to produce some chances just as I think West Ham will. And there's a little nugget in this fixture. This match has gone over 2.5 goals, 7 out of the last 8 meetings. So whenever these teams get together, they're just goals. I love the over in this one.
Yeah, we've got one other pick in this match for you, but we're going to come back to it because it is a pick of the week. So a little teaser there for you. It is not Dr. Sniper's pick of the week, but we will come back to this one. Next up on the slate, Dr. Sniper, I'm sticking with you here because you've got a few going on Fulham at the Cottage along the banks of the River Thames, and they're hosting the Foxes, newly promoted Leicester City. By the way, shout out Jamie Vardy. What a guy! What a guy, Jamie Vardy. As he looks at the away fans on Monday and goes,
"A Red Bull, DaCoochie." Yes, sir.
Yeah. What did he say? Gets up with a Red Bull. Gets his kids breakfast. Has another Red Bull.
BG, did you miss the photos? He was slugging one coming out of the tunnel before that second half.
Drank a Red Bull. 10 minutes later, he had wings and scored a goal, man. All-time Premier League player.
I saw a video. I didn't realize he was whacking a Red Bull.
Oh, yeah. Right out of the tunnel. Just got a Red Bull in hand. Absolute legend, man.
Kidneys, you hear people getting kidney transplants all the time. Who needs those things? All the caffeine there. Who needs those? If you're going to slug 4 22-ounce Red Bulls in a day, it gives you wings. Yeah, right. Gabriel Carlson chiming in. But anyway, yeah. So back to Fulham, Leicester City at Craven Cottage. We've got this one kicking off in the 10 a.m. window. Dr. Sniper, you've got 2 things for us here. Why don't you just take over for a minute?
Yeah. So I've got a twofer in this one. I've got Fulham money line -125, and then I'm also playing Leicester under half a goal, and that's at +175. If you look back to that Leicester and Tottenham match, a lot of people are forgetting about how that first half went for Leicester. They had 0.06 expected goals, and they were getting knocked all around the pitch by Tottenham's attack. It was just one of those things that in the second half, and we've seen it under Ange a lot for Spurs. They kind of, played to their opponent, let teams back in it. And yeah, Leicester had a decent spell in the second half, but the goal really only came from a mistake from Tottenham. Romero just completely left Vardy alone for a free header. But I just don't think Leicester's front line is Premier League level. I think it is the worst front line in the league. I mean, D. Cordova-Reid has been booted around the bottom of this league for years. And Father Tom's knocking at his door. He's 31 years old, and the same with Vardy. And they started an Argentinian at the 10 position. I think he's like 19 years old. I don't remember him ever even touching the ball. And I went back and looked, and he basically had zeros on expected goals and expected assists. So he was a non-factor. And then also, just from watching the United Fulham game, Leno really impressed me. I've always been a fan of his since he was at Arsenal. I think he's a great keeper. And I think they've got some good pieces at the back. Love USMNT player Jedi. He's an incredible left back. And, I just think Fulham's going to be too much for them in this one. And like I said, I think Leicester got lucky to get a goal at home behind their home crowd. I think at Craven Cottage, they're going to get shut out. So I'm going to play the money line for Fulham, and I'm going to play Leicester under half a goal.
Nice. Good stuff. Let's get out of the big window there. Yeah, back to that one. Look at that, boys. That's production value for you right there. Nothing on Manchester City and Ipswich for obvious reasons. That's not going to be much of a. Anyway, moving on. Southampton
parlay piece. It feels like -1.5 on City is kind of as good as it comes. Last year when they played Luton, they played like I think it's minus. It's going to be like -210. So it's strictly a parlay piece unless you want to pay the juice up there. But they beat Luton 10-3 on goals last season. This is kind of a similar team in the Ipswich, who's going to try to play pretty football, who's going to try to play out from the front and be attacking. But I think Man City is going to be kind of just too much. I don't have this on my card. Like I said, if anyone's looking for a little Saturday morning degenerate parlay, you could do worse than Man City and at -1.5.
BG might be looking at one of those.
I love that. I love the degenerate parlay line. That's tremendous. Southampton, newly promoted. Southampton and Nottingham Forest. Ryan, I'm going to come back to you. You've got some action going there. What you got?
Of course, the pick comes my way and the sun goes in my eyes. I have Southampton Forest over 2.5 goals at a nice -115. Southampton, career high, 19 attempts without scoring, but I think they will 100% find the back of the net against this Forest team, who I think is nowhere near as good as the Newcastle team that they played. And I think with Southampton, they play very fast, very possession heavy. They're going to be running at Forest at will. Problem is that they're a championship team, and they're going to either get relegated or be right there in the relegation battle. So that's going to leave them open to a lot of attack. And with Forest, they do have a few pieces. Yeah, they're probably going to be in the relegation battle with Southampton, but I think Forest has a few players like Gibbs White, Chris Wood, Eddie Nketiah. They have guys that will definitely make things happen. So I definitely expect, both teams to score at the very minimum, but I definitely think that over 2.5 goals at +115 is the play. The last time these two teams played, 4-3 Forest. So yeah, that was over a year ago because Southampton won the championship last season. But I really like there to be a lot of goals this game, and also Forest over 0.95 xG in their last 11 Premier League games, and that includes playing the likes of City, Tottenham. So over 2.5 in this game.
DaCoochie, you've got something going there as well, kind of similar. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm going to take the tricky trees on the draw no bet line at +104. Something I think's kind of gone a little bit under the radar last season was how good Forest was defensively since Nuno came in on December 15th. From December 15th onward, they allowed the fourth least expected goals per game per 90 minutes at 1.14 behind Manchester City, Arsenal, Liverpool. So obviously this team defensively kind of goes about it a different way. They're defending a low block. They're going to do two lines of four with the top two strikers at the top of the pitch and be compact on their side of the pitch. And I think it's going to be effective against a Southampton team who I'm pretty low on. Before the season started, I kind of on the newsletter I spoke about how I think all three teams are going right back down. So that's kind of in line with this. The striker pairing at top of the field is all right for championship level. They're good enough for championship level, but they're nowhere near Premier League level. Last season in the championship, they ranked third in expected goals for per 90 minutes. Usually when you go up a division, that number drops pretty significantly on average by almost a full goal per game in terms of expected goals. So I think Southampton really struggles to score here. Obviously, Russell Martin's going to have them playing, build out from the back, heavy possession style, but I think we kind of see something similar to what happened last week. Obviously, Newcastle was down a man, but Southampton had a bunch of pretty build-up play, a bunch of nice passing sequences, but when they got into the final third, they weren't really able to create much of substance in attack, and I think, like we said, like Ryan said, the Forest attack have some interesting guys. Callum Hudson-Odoi out on the left side sides. He's a good player. We'll see if Chris Wood's in there, but I think Morgan Gibbs-White and the front four will be able to create enough in transition to get the better of a Southampton team who I'm not a big believer in. I think Russell Martin, of the three managers who were promoted, I think he's going to have the hardest go of it in a lot of ways. He kind of, in all three stops where he's been before this at Young Boys, and I forget where he was otherwise, but they played the same way, played the same structure, the same formation. He's a little bit of a one-trick pony. I don't think that trick's going to work out at the highest level with the team he's assembled. So I'm going to be looking to play against Southampton at these prices. Again, it's the Forest team who I agree they're going to be at the bottom of the table, but I think probably they're not going to be real in danger of going down. I like what Nuno's done. When you're one of the better defensive teams, it's going to be hard to beat you. It's going to be hard to get relegated. So give me the tricky trees, draw no bet plus 104, and hopefully we can continue these draw no bets early in the morning here and get a couple winners.
Tricky
Also,
trees.
another player,
I like the tricky trees. I like that.
another player that neither of us mentioned that I think is going to run riot on Southampton is Alenga. Since he joined this Forest team, I just watching him play. He's like a new man since leaving United. Look for him to do some heavy damage on that Southampton day.
Yeah. Moving on to another 10 o'clock a.m. window here on the East Coast. We've got the Scumbags. For those that don't know, that is Tottenham Hotspur, and that'll be the last time that you ever hear them referred to as their legal name. We don't speak like that here on this show. They host the Toffees from Everton at the Hotspur Stadium. Dr. Sniper, you've got some action going there. What do you got?
Yeah, I do. I hate to say it, guys, but I do have Tottenham first half money line, and that's at minus 115. Like I said, Tottenham came out guns blazing against Leicester. They looked phenomenal, and they do that quite often under Ange, and especially at Hotspur Stadium. And then if you look at Everton, they are just a complete mess. Brighton was on the front foot immediately in that game. Ashley Young also, I mean, they're still starting Ashley Young in the year 2024. It's crazy, but he picked up a red card. So now they're even, further down on depth, and Jared Braithwaite's still not back. So that defense is in for, I think, a tough time at Hotspur Stadium. And I think this could potentially be like one of those infamous games that Tottenham win like 5-0. Honestly think it could get that bad, but I do feel really good about the first half. Like I said, I don't want to deal with having to hope that Tottenham come out in the second half and play just like they did in the first half. I want to go ahead and hopefully cash that bet in the first half. So, and then also, if you want a little sprinkle, I think that this is a perfect environment and game for Solanke to open up his scoring account with Tottenham. So if you want to sprinkle like a plus 370 first goal scorer, I think that could probably be a nice little sprinkle. And I wanted to bring up a point on that. Danny Welbeck ran riot on Everton last week, so I think they're going to have a ton of trouble with Solanke.
Love that guy.
That dude. Ryan,
Yeah,
you got
I got another player prop I'm going to be looking to play in this game if anyone has interest in it. Is James Maddison, 1+ assist at plus 250. Last season, when he was healthy for Spurs, he was the main man. I played it last week. It came through for us. The reason is pretty simple. He's on the vast majority of set plays. He's taking the set pieces, so he's going to get extra opportunity there. And functioning in that kind of number 10 role, he's going to be the guy that they look to break down this Everton low block. So that plus 250, I think it's worth another, half unit. That's what I typically play these player props at. Just a little sprinkle, give you something on this game, but I think it's worth the investment. I think as long as Madison's healthy, he's going to be the guy that's going to be stirring the drink, so to speak, for Tottenham most weeks.
That assist in the first match was incredible. That little curler.
He's special, man. If he can stay healthy for a whole season, he's a threat to win the most assists because of how open Tottenham plays as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Ryan, you've got some action going there in Scumbags and Everton. What do you got?
Yes, I have over in corners. Everybody's fun uncle. Over corners. I got
Funkle?
it.
Would that be a Funkle?
Funkle, yeah. I got that at minus. I think it's over 11 and a half. at -115 half. But Tottenham lead the league. Yeah, after 1 week, I get it. 13 corners in their game against Leicester. Everton have the least at 2. I expect Everton to definitely get more. I do expect them to probably not get 13 again. I think, Everton getting that red card, kind of playing on the back foot against, again, a Brighton team that was attacking from the wings. I don't think the Evertonians really could handle it. I do think it'll be a little bit more of a back and forth game. So I expect an uptick in corners for Everton. Maybe not 13 from Tottenham, but I definitely think they will probably match, if not do better than their average last season of 6. And I also they led the league. Not led the league. They were 5th in corners last season, and Everton were, I believe, in the bottom half. But they tend to, when they play games close, they tend to do well in corners, as they did in the two games they played against Tottenham last season. Both games, 6 and 8 corners for Everton. So total corners over 11.5.
I like that because also, I mean, like we've both spoken about, like Everton's going to be under attack, and Pickford's a pretty decent keeper, so there are going to be many opportunities that he's pushing wider over the bar to get those corner kicks. So I like that bet.
Yeah. Not on the card officially, at least as far as this program is concerned. DaCoochie, you do have one last thing on Saturday in the 12:30 window with Aston Villa and Arsenal. I'll let you go ahead and talk about that real quick for me.
Yeah, I'm on the Arsenal money line. I think it's crept up a little bit to -130 at this point. I still like it there. I like it up to -137. My model makes this one Arsenal -145, so a little bit of value still. I think if you look back, kind of the narrative from last season when these two teams played will be that Unai Emery kind of sunned Arteta a little bit, show him how it's done by the elite managers in the world. But if you go look back at those underlying metrics, Arsenal, although they failed to score in both games, they created more than 3.45 XG over the course of those 2 games. They out-created Aston Villa in those games. They kept Aston Villa under 1 XG in both games. And I just think that ultimately the loss of Douglas Luiz in the middle of the pitch is going to hurt Aston Villa most in these type of games, because his ability to be press resistant is really underrated. He was a very good passer. Outside of just the goals he scored last season, he was so intricate and important in their build-up play. He functioned as that double pivot, so he drops deep between the center backs. Onana's not quite as good as on the ball, at least yet anyways. He's got a boatload of potential, but I think against Arsenal, who's, for my money, the best out-of-possession team in the world right now, I think it's going to be hard for Aston Villa to kind of get the ball up the pitch to their attackers. And I think, Arsenal is kind of going to give me concern still about their ability to finish and be clinical in front of the net until they find a number 9 that I can trust a little bit more than Havertz. I know he's been good, but that's just my 2 cents. I think that regardless, though, they come away with the victory here. I'm a lot lower than the market is on Villa and their chances this year. I think we've kind of seen it time and time again with Unai Emery. One good season kind of followed up by one mediocre season. You saw it at Villarreal. You saw it at PSG. You saw it even at Arsenal in the course of his one season there. Started off really hot, tailed off towards the end. I think we're going to see something similar. I'm going to try to get in going against this Villa team early in the season before the market can correct. So give me Arsenal -125 on the money line. I think they take care of business. I think they dominate possession and territory and kind of control the game like Arteta wants to.
Yeah. Give me all of that. Give me all of that.
DaCoochie, let's go.
Love it. Love it. Any final thoughts on the Saturday window, guys? Anything anybody wants to sprinkle in there?
Yeah, I got one more. We kind of passed over it, or someone had a pick in it, sorry. But the Crystal Palace game, I think there's West Ham game. I think there's a little bit of value on both teams to score parlayed with over 2.5. I think you get it at +133 right now. To kind of echo what was said, West Ham defensively, even last year under David Moyes, was a disaster. They ranked 17th in the league in terms of expected goals per 90 minutes. They were 19th or 18th, sorry, in terms of high big chances created against them. That's not going to get better with Opakegi taking over much of the same roster, but playing a much more aggressive out of possession style, looking to shrink the pitch, playing a high line. I think that'll kind of be a problem for them. I think they're going to ship goals all season long. And on the other side, Crystal Palace, they're going to look to play through Eze. That's the new manager's kind of MO. Get the best player on the team of ball, let him cook. So if you're looking at player props, I don't hate Eze to assist or score. I think that number is at plus 107 the last time I saw it. So those are two angles I'm sprinkling in. You can kind of take your pick of the two props.
Dr. Sniper, you got anything you want to sprinkle on top of Saturday picks?
No, that's it for me.
And
like DaCoochie just said, I'm all over that over. So I'm glad that he has the same sentiment. And back to the back line, Mavropanos was under the Arsenal books for a long time. So BG, Ryan, and I got to watch him a lot. And I love the guy as a person. I just don't rate him highly as a center back. And West Ham's starting him in the Premier League. So
yeah, and Crystal Palace, I don't know. I know that Joaquin Anderson's going to Fulham. I know that Mark Gay, he's still kind of rumored to Newcastle. So we might see a completely different backline, a backline in flux. And as much as I'm down on West Ham's defense, I think attacking-wise, they're going to be dangerous. Kudos and Paqueta are two absolutely box office players. If Falkenberg can come in and kind of be the guy he was towards the end of the season last year for Dortmund, they're going to be an attack that scores lots of goals too. So I think for the course of the season, West Ham is going to be a team that has a lot more goals in it than we've become used to as a David Moyes ran squad for a long time.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. The West Ham attack it's on par with just about anybody else in the league. And let's not forget Jared Bowen.
Underrated unit right now. Underrated unit.
Very much so.
I had another stat on their attack also. They were second in expected goals this past match week, even though they lost. The only team that had more was Liverpool.
Wow.
You took my stat. It's fine. I'll manage. No,
Ryan, did you want to sprinkle anything in on Saturday picks? Anything else on your mind before we move on to the Sunday window?
No, I'm trying to lock into my picks right now. You want me to sprinkle and shit? I'm not the ice cream man. Not yet, anyways.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't bought that white panel van yet. Don't do that because then never mind. Anyway, moving on to the Sunday window, and Ryan, I'm going to stick with you. We open with Bournemouth and Newcastle. There will be a flurry of activity under the screen that you can't see in DaCoochie's window here for Newcastle, but we'll get there in a minute. Ryan, talk to me on Bournemouth, Newcastle. What do you got?
So, like our guest pick Arsenal to win, I'm going to pick his team to win. Newcastle money line at plus 120. Everyone says styles make fights, and I think this is just a really bad matchup for a Bournemouth team, which, funny enough, them and Palace, the books love those two teams this season. Don't really know why. Palace, I'm a little higher on than Bournemouth, but this Bournemouth team is going under a little bit of a transitional period, a little bit of a facelift, losing Solanke. Their veteran players getting a little bit older. But yeah, I think Newcastle is just a better team here. They're a really good first half team, Newcastle, and they have a really good short up defense, and they love, and I hope I'm not speaking any ill will toward you, DaCoochie, but they love to waste time. And I think Bournemouth doing a really good job. They led the league as far as teams go, as far as goals from subs, and I just think that Newcastle is just going to put a kibosh on it. I don't think this Bournemouth team is going to really ever get going. I'm not really high on this Bournemouth team, unlike the books are. So yeah, give me Newcastle money line plus 120.
Nice, right on. And DaCoochie, you're going putting a bet in here with your favorite team. What do you got for me?
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the side. Maybe a little bit too emotionally invested already on this one. I'm going to go for, again, a parlay I like to run a lot of the times. Both teams to score and over 2.5, minus 124. I have some concerns as a Newcastle fan this going into this weekend. Our defense is not at its best right now. Sven Botman remains out. Fabian Schär's got to serve a 3-game suspension. So it'll be Dan Burn and Emil Kraft at center back. Not exactly Champions League level, to say the least. So I'm going to go – I think Bournemouth is going to be able to create some chances. On the other side of the pitch, I think that what we didn't really see a whole lot of last week because of the suspension was that Newcastle I expect them now with Joe Linton back to full health to really be one of the elite pressing teams in the Premier League. Eddie Howe in his first season, or 2 seasons ago, not his first season, his first full season, they were the 3rd best team in terms of pass per defensive action allowed, which is kind of a stat that just kind of keeps track of how effective presses are at turning over and forcing the other team to play long. I think that they're going to be able to get some high turnovers against the Bournemouth team, and I think ultimately we see more than 2 goals. I think both teams score. Like I said, we've struggled with Bournemouth away a lot of the time. It's a long trip for Newcastle team who is all the way on the north coast, has to go deep down to the south coast to play Bournemouth. I love Bournemouth. Their manager, Iraola, one of the guys who's kind of in a class just below the elite guys for me in the Premier League in terms of managers. So I think this one's going to be tightly contested. I can't get behind my Newcastle United team, but I can get both teams to score in over 2.5. And I think this game has a very good chance of being one of the funner watches on this Sunday card. Transitional. Both teams like to play fast. Both teams like to kind of be very direct in the attack. So I'm going to go for a high event game. I'm going to go for over 2.5 goals and both teams to score at -124.
I like it. DaCoochie, I'm sticking with you, man. You've got some action here in the Liverpool-Brentford match as well. So I'm going to turn it over to you, man. The stage is yours here.
Yeah, this one. This one's a bit of a punt. Obviously, I think the number's a little bit too long on Brentford, 10-1. My model makes this about 8-1 fair price. So I have some value, and the reason I have some value is. First and foremost, I'm a big admirer of Thomas Frank and what they're doing down in Brentford. In terms of defensive low block, they're one of the best teams in the Premier League alongside Nottingham Forest and Wolves in terms of making it very hard for opposition teams to convert their possession into chances. Last season, they were number 2 in the division in terms of final third to box conversion rate, which just is a stat that keeps track of how often a team can create chances from their possession. Moreover, Brentford's clinical in out of possession. Their wingers are going to stay a little bit higher forward this season, it looks like, after what I saw from the heat maps in the first week, which means they're going to be looking to attack Trent Alexander in transition, and Bueno's got the gas. He can get in behind. And I just think as a whole, Liverpool didn't really impress me. The first half was kind of concerning. They had a hard time getting going against Ipswich, who I'm not very high on at all. And just as a holistic standpoint, I think last season Brentford underperformed pretty drastically. Obviously, we saw Ivan Toney with the suspension. It's looking like he's not going to be back this year, but kind of something that went a little bit under the radar in my estimation was the wingbacks who were hurt all year. Rico Henry is an elite player, a very underrated player at right wing back. And in Thomas Frank's 3-5-2 system, those wing backs are very important to the build-up play into attack. They have to be able to get forward. They have to be able to put boxes into the box that are quality, that are attackable. And I think with both of those guys healthy now, they're going to be much improved this season. I bet them to finish in the top half. So if I'm betting a team to finish in the top half before a season and in match week 2, I get them 10-1 against a team I have finishing 4th or 5th. I got to take a shot on it. So I got a quarter unit, 0.25 on Brentford, money line at 10-1. Then I have 0.75 units on Brentford plus a half. And then I'll wait up and we'll talk about my best bets a little bit later. But I'm going to spoil the party as Brentford as well in another way. But I'll let everyone else take the floor here for a second first.
I mean, you've got the floor, brother, because that's all the action here is on you. We're at picks of the week and anything else we sprinkle in for Sunday. So stay with it, man. Yeah, keep going.
My pick of the week to make this a 2-unit bet is Brentford plus a goal and a half. I think, like I said, Liverpool is gonna. They're an elite team. Don't get me wrong. Their offense is as good as it comes in this league or in the world for that matter. But I think time and time again we've seen Brentford give the big clubs problems. They're defensively so compact in the 3-5-2. They make it very hard for other teams to create chances in the box. Like I said, final third to box conversion rate's a stat I really like to look at for these mid-table teams, and they're the best of the bunch at it. And I just think ultimately, I think that although we didn't see a lot of regression last week from Liverpool, I think it's hard to imagine they keep the same level week in, week out with the addition of Ernie Slot instead of Jurgen Klopp. There's going to be some times where Klopp would have made better decisions, whether it's substitutions, and ultimately McAllister's not essential defensive midfielder. So in transition, I think Brentford can get after Liverpool without the ball stopping. Gravenbach's not a midfielder either, so they're kind of fitting some round holes into square pegs, and I think Brentford can be the beneficiary. This is a team who we've seen beat Man City on the money line before the World Cup a couple years ago. I don't see they can get it done as big underdogs, so I like them at +1.5. So if they lose by 1 goal, we still cash out, but I'm doing a bit of a ladder situation with this team. I think they're live as a 10-1 underdog.
I like, man, this is great. Why, Ryan? And Dr. Slate, why aren't you guys as good as this? Shit, man, you know what? You both are fired.
Hey, BG, I'm in a fucking car.
Fair. All right, everybody's got an excuse there, Ryan.
Oh man,
excuses are like assholes, man. Everybody's got one.
I will say though, in accordance to the Brentford team, Weasel and Embuemo are probably, for me, two of the most, like, together, like as a duo, most underrated duo. Like, I like duos. I say duo a lot. They are just so good together. Their link up play, their chemistry together. They didn't need Tony against Palace. Like, I'm excited to watch these two play and see what they can do without Tony.
Yeah. Before we get into picks of the week, does anybody want to add anything to the Sunday window? Any player props or anything? Anybody got anything weird they want to throw out there for us?
I've not looked a whole lot very deep at the Sunday player props just yet for myself, so I'm going to pass on those for the time being.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm not sure if anyone else has anything they want to add, but that's just my 2 cents.
Got it. Anybody else? Dr. Sniper, anything on the Sunday window before we get into picks of the week?
No, nothing that I've placed so far. I might touch on a player to look at when I go through my breakdown, and you can choose if you would like to do that on your own, but nothing that I've locked in by myself. So,
Ryan, from the car, passenger seat.
I like Brentford money line.
Okay.
Add it to the card, right? Come on.
Yeah. Let's go. Get involved, son. Scared money don't make money. All right, boys. Let's get into our picks of the week, and if we just go through it once again, I believe chronologically, I'll start with Ryan. You've got a pick of the week on Saturday. What do you got? You're muted.
No, I know. Talking to my wife. My wife says I'm screaming, so apologies about my volume.
I'm surprised that she's not saying I'm screaming, because I usually am.
She can't hear you, so that's a good thing.
Oh, you have your AirPods in. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so I think all three of you guys alluded to this at some point and gave some kind of fact to support my pick of the week. That's West Ham team total over 1.5 at +160. I think is wild, wild that it's at 160. I just think West Ham's firepower is just absolutely insane, very underrated. I love Fulkrug. I love Bowen. Bowen is a guy that just does not get talked about enough. I think he's just one of the most underrated players in the Premier League. Kudos. I mean, the list goes on. I think it was alluded to already. I'm not gonna beat anybody up after the show, but 2.27 XG against Villa, second only to Liverpool, in case I really wanted to know. I just think that this Palace team is also going to struggle. Losing Anderson and potentially other pieces. Anderson was probably their most experienced and best center back. You can make an argument for who's the left center. I forget the left center. Like Gahey is Gahey. But yeah, Anderson made that back four tick. He's a very ball playing center back, a player that Arsenal was looking at for a while. But I think losing him is going to kind of put them in a little bit of a disarray. And this Palace team gave up 1.47 expected goals against a Tony-less Brentford team. Yes, I know I wax lyrical about this Brentford team with Weeza. Well, maybe not me, maybe DaCoochie, but Weeza and Waymo, I think, very underrated players in their own right. But yeah, I think this Palace team, again, a team that the books, or at least DraftKings, by the way, seem to love. But I don't know. I don't have them quite figured out yet. So yeah, I'm going team total over 1.5 West Ham plus 160. Let's get it.
I can't wait to watch this match. I mean, we all have action on it, so hopefully it's exciting.
Goals, 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 goals,
Yeah.
goals.
Something else that we all have action on, and it's a pick of the week for all of us, is, and one we haven't mentioned yet, is from the Molyneux up in the Midlands, Wolves and Chelsea. Dr. Sniper, I'm going to turn it over to you, sir, for your pick of the week. Have at it.
Yeah, so my best bet of the week is Chelsea money line at the minus 140. If you've listened to me at all on this channel through the preseason, you know how poorly I've talked about Wolverhampton. I think they do have a chance to go down this year, as crazy as that sounds. And if you watch their first match against Arsenal, they just got completely wiped. And then also, if you take a deeper dive into the Chelsea match against City, it wasn't really as bad as the scoreline stated per se. They actually won the expected goals battle 1.09 to 0.98. And a lot of people say that City cruised through the majority of that match after getting the Holland goal, and that can be fair. But I thought Chelsea had some really nice moments as well. And I also think that Chelsea's biggest weakness is attacking through the middle of this team, hence the Kovacic goal. I mean, he got right through Enzo and Caicedo, and they had a center back, I think it was Colwell, who, was just basically too scared to step up and allow that shot to get off. But I don't think that Wolves have the midfield anymore to poise that threat against Chelsea through the middle. And I also think that Chelsea is going to be very dangerous down the right side. They're going to be able to watch a lot of tape and see how Saka completely carved them up into a player of the week in the league performance, honestly. And I think that Chelsea will have Palmer do a lot of those same things. So this is what I was referring to a little bit earlier. I think that if you wanted to look at Cole Palmer player props, whether it's a goal or assist, and I think he should have a big day from Chelsea, kind of implementing the same blueprint that Arsenal did. So this one's my best bet, Chelsea money line.
DaCoochie, you've got action there as well. Talk to me.
Yeah, I'm going limbo under this total of under 3 goals. My reasoning is pretty simple. I think Chelsea, until they find a striker who can kind of be more clinical in front of the net, I think they're going to struggle to capitalize on the chances that they're going to create. I'm not a believer in Nicholas Jackson. I know Cole Palmer, awesome talent, but it's hard to play in a system that's constantly changing with players who are constantly changing. They got Joao Felix coming in this week from Atletico Madrid. Will he get minutes? The Raheem Sterling drama seems to be over with him going to Juventus. But I just think that Chelsea kind of, and for the time being anyways, until they find someone who is clinical in front of goal, is going to underperform their XG numbers. And on the other side, Wolves offensively, I don't know how they're scoring goals this season. The loss of Pedro Neto is just monumental. He was far and away the most impactful player. From my player market, my player rating standpoint, last season Pedro Neto was the second most important player in the league as a whole to his team. So him going out the door, them not really having anyone I can trust to replace him. I know that Chelsea kind of, the door is open a little bit at the back, but I'm not sure if anyone's going to be able to sneak inside there. And I think that I like Gary O'Neill as a manager, another one of these lower side managers who kind of is pragmatic, plays defensive. Last year, they were very good in the low block. This year, loss of Kilman probably going to make them a little bit worse. So while I don't hate the Chelsea angle, I do have concerns about their ability to score goals consistently. So I'm going to take the under 3. I think it's at minus 117 right now. It's actually gone down on me a little bit. So the market disagrees. I can say screw it to the market and take this under. And hopefully we don't see many goals in this one, especially at the start of the game.
Since these guys want me to make some sort of a pick and have some skin in this game, I've actually got it. DaCoochie, the line I saw was under 2.5 total. You guys know what you're talking about here. I'm not sure I do. I could certainly wax lyrical with the best of them. but I'm also taking the Wolves Chelsea under 2.5 total goals in this. Mostly because for everything DaCoochie just said, I just don't know where Chelsea get the goals from until João Felix comes into the mix and gets settled. Are we banking on Cole Palmer bagging a brace, match in, match out? I don't see that happening.
A lot to ask.
Yeah. And wing play is decent, but again, not consistent enough for me to see them bagging 3 goals. And Wolves, for everything we've said, be it this show, be it other shows with predictions and bets and, how bad we think Wolves could be. Yeah, we wiped the Emirates carpet with them last week. They did only give up 2 goals. I mean, we had opportunities. And yeah, I mean, a Havertz sitter, notwithstanding that he should have just buried a few other opportunities, they did hold us to 2 goals. So there's a little something there to hold one of what should be the highest scoring teams in the Premier League to 2 at home, opening match of the season. Now Wolves get to go home, have their crowd behind them. In a best case scenario for them, the crowd gives them that energy and that push they need to at least defend well, because I also don't see where they get goals from. I'm really not all that concerned with Wolves scoring. And as much as I hate to say this, I might be coming around to Dr. Sniper's way of thinking on Wolves with the futures thing here and going down, because boy, oh boy, unless they've got some magic up their sleeves here
they
before
need to get some
Friday.
Incoming transfers before the window closes, because they've really got nothing to speak of going forward that you can really rely on, in my estimation. Like, this Munoz is not a striker I believe in it whatsoever. The wing play, they brought in a young Portuguese player. I forget his name off the top of my head. He looked lively, but he's a prospect. He's not a full timer at this point. So
yeah,
I think Wolves struggles. I agree. I just think that in terms of for the whole season, Gary O'Neill is a good manager. He's going to find ways to get results. And I also just think with the TV money in the Premier League and all 3 teams going back down after coming up, it makes it very hard for the newly promoted teams, because the other teams have had a year to kind of reconsolidate. Maybe they make a mistake in the last summer transfer window. They get 2 more transfer windows with big money in their pockets. I think it's going to be something we see a lot more of moving forward. The gap between the Championship and the Premier League is growing seemingly year on, and that's tough, because I love the relegation promotion thing. But hopefully for my bet's sake, all 3 of these newbies go right back down. I don't really care for Southampton, Ipswich, or Leicester City. I want to see Leeds. I want to see some of the bigger teams that are stuck down there. Even, I know this is blasphemy, I would love to see Sunderland back in the Premier League, so Newcastle can around a little bit.
No, but DaCoochie, my bet was at plus 350. I thought there was good value.
That's a good number for sure.
Yeah, I'm not as high.
It's still at plus 300 right now. So
yeah, I'm maybe still not as high on Gary as you are. I think they won 1 out of their last 11 Premier League games last season, and then
they were on the beach, though. They were on the beach to a certain extent. They were safe, right?
But like you said, the loss of their captain Kilman and then Neto. I mean, I don't see them replacing it by the start of. By the end of
1st, like 10 days basically.
Yeah, 9. 8. Isn't the window shuts next Friday?
Yeah, next Friday. You're right. 8. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so you got 8
Time's
days.
running out. Time is running out. I'm sure they'll bring in, 3 Portuguese guys I've never heard of. That seems to be what they do. But
and DaCoochie, I spoke about this in our preseason show. There is a world where they are winless going into October, right? Because they've got Chelsea this weekend. Their real opportunity for a victory is going to be that next league game at Forest, but it's at Forest, and then they have to play Newcastle, at Villa, Liverpool, and then City. It's brutal.
That's a tough run-in to start the season.
Yeah. And when you go back and look at teams who started so poorly and it's just so hard to dig your way out, I think that there is value at the plus 350 for a relegation. But like you said, it's more than likely going to be those the teams that just got promoted. But I think it's worth a shot.
3-1. It's not a bad look at all. I don't blame you for taking it, to be honest with you. I think of the teams, obviously Everton with the potential for a points deduction might bring them back in there. So, but on squad strength, I think they're pretty firmly the 17th. Fulham, I'm not very high on Fulham. Some other people are a little bit higher on them than I am, but 16, 17, those for me in my power ratings anyways, that's where those teams are. I just think Leicester's apparently going to get one of the biggest points deduction we've seen. So whether that's 12 points, 9 points, that's going to be a lot to come back on. And Ipswich and Southampton, they just don't have the talent. If you look at their transfer market, their club value is like $150 million less than Fulham and Wolves. Even the Fulham and Wolves team we're not very high on. So it's a battle. They're going to have to get lucky to stay up, but that's the dream, man. That's the beautiful thing about soccer in Europe. Every season you start with a dream, and that's I wish
all in a dream, baby. That's all it takes in Vegas, right?
That's right.
Dollar in a dream. That's all you need, man. Let's get into recapping everything. Dr. Sniper, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to throw your graphic up here and just kind of recap everything for me. I may have screwed a few of these up, so please correct any mistakes that you need to correct. I apologize if I missed anything here.
Oh, yeah, that looks perfect for me. That's my card. I hope to have a 0 in that column on the right as we move into next week, but we'll see.
I just leave them up here for a minute in case anybody is maybe trying to, screenshot anything or be able to call us back out on this. Ryan, are you still with us or did we lose you?
Oh, I'm here, baby.
All right. You're up next, brother. Recap everything for me.
I've got a question for DaCoochie after we run through these picks.
All right.
Yeah, everything's looking nice. I kind of alluded to it earlier. You could take the Tottenham team total over 7.5. I don't see them repeating anywhere near 13 corners that they got against that weak Leicester team. They had like 70, almost 80% possession at times. So I don't think it's gonna be that high, but 7.5 is pretty low. And then Newcastle first half money line. I like that, but my pick for my official card is gonna be Newcastle regular money line at plus 120.
I'm sorry, you did tell me that. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, no, you're good, but Newcastle first half money line. I was originally my first pick because I think Newcastle's gonna come out firing. And I think Bournemouth kind of wait late to kind of do something. And I think Newcastle is going to be a team that tries to get on the front foot because they did struggle a little bit against our Southampton team, who was just coming in quick, coming in fast. But Newcastle still found a way to score. And I don't think they're going to have that issue against this Bournemouth team.
Yeah. DaCoochie, you're up finally here. And I feel like I kind of butchered your card here, but take a look and correct anything that you need to correct.
Yeah, for the most part, it looks good, actually. The only one that I added in the show here was Crystal Palace, West Ham. Both teams are scoring over 2.5. But other than that, I like Nottingham Forest, draw no bet or pick on the two-way money line. Same with Brighton. Obviously, Bournemouth, Newcastle, I agree to a certain extent. Newcastle's going to find goal. I think Bournemouth finds some joy against depleted Newcastle backline. And obviously, my pick of the day is the Brentford Bees, to go shock the world. 10-1 underdogs for a small little sprinkle, plus 300 on the plus a half, and then pick of the week for a full unit is plus a goal and a half for Brentford. I think that they're underrated. They remain underrated. They underperformed XG numbers last year. And I think this season, with a healthy wingback situation, they're going to give big boys problems like we saw them do 2 years ago. So hopefully the Bees can get stung at Liverpool and kind of shock the world and give Ernie Slot his first loss at the helm of the Reds.
And DaCoochie, I'll make sure to get your card and I'll tweet it out on Saturday morning.
Awesome, brother. Appreciate it.
And that would be for Brentford. That would be just imagine they go into Anfield. And they do the trick at Anfield. That would be, whew. Boys, I'll tell you what. I said this to you guys before. I'll say it again. I hope you don't mind. I mean, I am just kind of hosting this thing and kind of pushing things along. I'm not much of a sports bettor, but this has been the first 2 episodes of this show. Been a lot of fun. Listening to you guys with the the deep dive statistical analysis is absolutely tremendous. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And honestly, it's given me a massive reason to watch other games and have a rooting interest, even if I'm not putting anything down. It's almost like fantasy football, really, where all of a sudden you've got a rooting interest, even
Absolutely.
outside of your favorite team playing. And I mean, I do watch because I do have, I'll say, rooting interests mostly from the Arsenal standpoint, wanting to see other teams lose. But this is tremendous. My eyes are going to be glued to Brentford Liverpool on Sunday. I promise you that. My eyes are going to be absolutely glued with all and Wolves Chelsea, with all the action that we've got on these games. I mean, Crystal Palace West Ham. Yeah, if I can actually roll my somewhat drunk ass out of bed at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, I'll definitely have that one on before I head out to the bar to go watch the big one on Saturday. But Dr. Sniper, you had something that you wanted to ask DaCoochie, so the stage is yours.
Yeah, real quick before we get out of here, I think it was a comment from Gabriel Carlson in the chat. Ipswich getting Armando Broja on loan from Chelsea with the option to buy of 30 mil if they stay up. Do you think that acquisition gives them a chance to stay up?
Like I said, I like Broja. He's had a hard time staying healthy at Chelsea, so I'll admit I don't have the greatest depth of understanding of the type of player he's going to be bringing to Ipswich. I like Ipswich. I like their manager. I just think that you're so outgunned coming up to the Premier League. They have a team value of around 124 million. When you're dealing with teams like Arsenal, Manchester City, United, Liverpool, all those teams have a club transfer market value of 500 million plus. It's an incredibly big hole to climb up, and especially we kind of saw it last season with Burnley. McKenna wants to play beautiful football. He wants to pass out from the back. He wants intricate passing situations, and I think that's very hard to do when you have a team that is not really all that talented at the Premier League level. I would love to be wrong. It would be a beautiful story. Double promoted 2 seasons ago, League One, last season Championship, to stay up. It'd be a lot of fun, and Ipswich Town could be, a project similar to the one we see at Brentford and Bournemouth right now, where they stayed up one time, they consolidated the next year, and now, some people have both. A lot of prognosticators have one of Bournemouth or Brentford competing for, the Europa or the Europa Conference League spot this season. So I think I'll be happy to see Ipswich stay up to a certain extent, just from viewers' standpoint. But I think they got a lot of work to do. The midfield in particular is very light. I know Broich is an attacker, but you got to have ball stopping if you're going to be giving up 65, 70% of possession. And I don't know if they have it at this level right now. So that's my thought. I like McKenna. I think he's probably going to maybe the other issue is that he might leave halfway through the season. He's hotly contested. I know that the English job is one that he's kind of in the talking for. Obviously Southgate's gone on. So that's a concern. And like I said, the one thing they have going for them, they have a great home atmosphere, like we saw against Liverpool in that first half. The fans were on top of Liverpool. They played man to man. They lost. They ran out of energy in the end of it. But I was impressed. I just think it's like Luton last season for me, where I liked the way Luton played. They were fun to watch. I was happy anytime they were on my screen. But it's the step up is as big as they come in the world of soccer right now, from the Championship to the Premier League. Premier League teams get 60 million a year, even if you finish in 18th for their transfers because of the TV deal, right? So it's it'll be interesting. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I would love for one of these kind of teams who have been hanging out, Wolves, Fulham, Everton, one of those teams to go down. Everton's never gone down. That'd be nice to see. I'm not a real big fan of Everton. When we were a shitty team before, Newcastle and Everton had some spars. They cheered pretty hard when we got relegated. We got relegated at their place, so I'll never forgive them for that. So that's where I'm at.
Well, I do think we'll start seeing a lot more of these deals from these promoted sides where they're taking a guy on loan and taking a chance for him, and with the new money that they're getting, paying his wages, and then you know what? If we stay up and we continue to get more money, yeah, we'll buy him from you. So I think we'll continue to see those quite often.
Yeah, it makes sense financially for sure. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And then one last thing, BG, through the picks from the chat and the random generator, and I promise you guys, I'm not making this up. This is definitely the DaCoochie episode. The chat pick of the week is Newcastle money line And I think it's at plus 120, and that was submitted by John David Shepard. So that is the chat pick of the week.
Away
Nice.
the odds.
Ryan, you got
comes through again.
Yeah, Ryan, do you have any final thoughts for us here before we get out of here?
No, I mean, like always, I'm excited. I'm excited to gamble with you screwballs. I'm excited to win with you screwballs. I'm excited to tell you screwballs. I'm using screwballs a lot, but you guys are awesome. DaCoochie, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure and an honor. And I will definitely see you soon because you will be back. I will force you if I have to. And I probably won't be in my car, so apologies for that.
DaCoochie, just so you know, his wife will force you. He's not doing anything. It'll be all the misses forcing you.
No, yeah. Well, did I not specify? Sorry. Yeah, she will.
Yeah.
She has my balls in her purse. She wears the pants, the shoes, the belt. She wears it all. Yeah. I love my wife.
Anyway, before I get way off topic, Dr. Sniper, final thought?
No, yeah, I'm excited to get this week going again. Hopefully we can continue to provide winners for you guys. And just a big thank you to DaCoochie for coming on today. The insight was phenomenal. The stats were there. The insight was there. And I think the viewers probably enjoyed that a ton. So thank you, man.
It was my pleasure, guys. I'll kind of just give my final thoughts. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that's where I do most of my bantering, most of my content in air quotes. And if you're interested, I have a free newsletter. It goes out between 7:30 and 9 a.m. every morning before work. You can read it on the potty at work or during your lunch break and get some action for that day. And I just wanted to thank you guys for having me on. I love talking shop. I love talking EPL soccer. I've like I said, growing up in Northern Ontario, there's not a whole lot of people up here who kind of have the itch for the game the way that we do. So any chance you guys need a guest, just let me know, and I'll try to see if I can make it work for my schedule.
DaCoochie, you are welcome on this program anytime, my friend. I'll just echo what both of these guys said. It was awesome content, awesome analysis, really, really tremendous stuff. And you made my job a hell of a lot easier. I don't have to talk as much because I'm about to go talk my mouth off for the next 10 hours, and it's going to suck, but maybe I'll get to hit someone tonight. We'll see. I don't know. It'll be fun. It's wing night, so we'll see what happens. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Gabriel Carlson, big one out there. I know that I saw Russ Morgan. I saw Bronx Gunner. Daniel Swartz was in there. John David Shepard was in there. Kevin is 1987 is in there as well. Thank you, everybody on YouTube who chimed in. Make sure you are dropping a thumbs up on the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Click the little bell icon so you never, ever, ever miss a show. Why would you want to miss these amazing picks? We're gonna hit a number this season that no one has thought of. We're gonna hit an infinitesimal number of wins this season. The number doesn't even exist. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so great. I feel like anyway, before I go down that road. And if you're listening / watching on Twitter as well, thank you guys all there. You can also go on to, if you want to comment after the show on YouTube, leave a pick there for us as well. If you'd like to comment or just message us at EPL Pitch Picks on Twitter, you can do that as well. That is it for us, ladies and gents. We've got a full slate of weekend footy in the pipeline for you. We'll be back next Thursday. We'll let you know the time. 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock Eastern time, should be somewhere in that neighborhood. But like I said, subscribe to the channel, click the bell icon, and you'll know exactly when we're going to be here. That's it for us. It's been good footy talk, good pitch picks. We'll see you out there.